Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Talk podcast. If you are watching, I am so sorry for whatever you see. I feel like I'm not put together this morning. I look crazy. I'm still in what I went to bed in, which was sweatpants and a tank top, and then I threw on this sweatshirt just to be cozy. I look crazy. Yeah, we just have to roll with it. It is currently 12:38 on Monday. I almost said morning, afternoon. I plan to record this episode, edit, make the thumbnail, and have it posted by 2 p.m. We're just going to pray that happens. If it's a little late, it's a little late. At least it's still going up on a Monday. To me, that's good. Like, that's so freaking good. If I still have to record this and it still ends up going up on a Monday, I'll take what we can get. I did not record yesterday, which is when I typically do. I definitely still need to work that into a better system, but didn't record yesterday, and recording now. So if you're listening to this a day it goes live, I literally recorded this the same day you're listening to it, and I hope you enjoy. If you're an audio listener, hello, welcome to another episode. I think I mentioned it last episode that last one and this one are going to be like parenting related. This one's going to have a little bit of like, I'm going to go through a birth story and like how we are 2 years later type of situation. We'll get into that in a minute, but for people who aren't really interested in that or want to hear it, I guess. I don't know. Just, you're probably not going to be interested in this episode. I did give the preface last week, but giving it again just before you get into it. Intentions. I need to get back on my BS. Not so much the B, but the S, because I don't know. Like, I feel like I just am so not on top of things lately, and it's kind of stressing me out. Hence the fact why I'm here on a Monday afternoon. This episode should have been up almost 3 hours ago, but here we are sitting and recording the day of. But anyways, I don't know. Like, I just need to get my life together. I feel like it's been a whole swing of like craziness lately. I don't know why. I feel like there's actually been a lot going on lately in a good way. Like, we've had some good days. Like, I feel like I've just been working a bunch, and then days off I've been trying to like go outside. It's been such nice weather lately that I just haven't been wanting to be home. Like, I just want to go out and enjoy the weather because it feels so nice compared to what we have, that like it was super cold, and now like 50s are starting to feel like almost like a heat wave for us. At least that's just like how I've been looking at it. 50 still isn't like good temperature, but it's been sunny and 50, almost 60 if it hasn't hit 60, and it's been so nice that I've been just taking what I can get and being outside as much as I can, bringing JJ for walks to the park, just to go out and about on a car ride like type of situation, that I haven't been home and like doing any work at home. So I feel like I'm like really behind, and everything just needs like a little catch up moment, but hopefully we'll get there soon. I feel like JJ went through a weird phase where he was literally up at 6 a.m. every day, if not a little before. So I feel like sleep lately has just been crazy. I've been learning this thing where even though he wakes up at 6, I've been just kind of letting him go for a little bit, and then he ends up actually falling back to sleep, which is, I don't want to say annoying, but kind of annoying, because I could have been doing that instead of being up at 6 and feeling like I'm just exhausted and like sleep deprived borderline. But like this morning he woke up I think around 6, and he cried for a little bit, and then he got quiet, so he literally like went to the other side of the crib and fell back asleep. And I'm like, okay. So I literally didn't get up till almost 8:30 this morning, which is really late for me compared to what we've been doing, and it's been really nice. I feel like I've been getting a little more sleep, a little more rest. I feel almost like a different person, which is literally my goal when I get to that point of being like sleep deprived. You get like the little bit more sleep and you feel like a whole new human being, and you can like actually tackle the world. I should probably talk about this in this episode because this is kind of what this episode is going to be related to. So streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, anywhere you stream your podcasts. We are here on YouTube, Girls Gotta Talk podcast. If you want to come and watch, just give a little like, comment, say hey, subscribe, join the fam over here on YouTube. I feel like most of my, I don't want to say views, because even if you have it on the background, like you're just kind of listening, I feel like I get a lot more views on these podcasts on YouTube than I do on like streaming platforms. I can only see, I don't know what I can see. I think it's just like a little synopsis of like views. I can't see exactly where the views are coming from, if that makes sense, with all the other streaming platforms, but I don't get a lot on streaming. It doesn't look like I get a lot on YouTube. Like I said the other day, views went like through the roof from what I normally would get. It wasn't even a lot, but it's more than what I normally get, and I was super freaking excited and like wanted to cry. It was amazing. But yeah, I love you all no matter where or how you're listening or watching to this. So today's date is what's today's date? Today's March 11th. Yesterday, speaking of sleep deprived, yesterday was also daylight savings. So since spring is coming, we lost an hour of sleep. It jumped ahead an hour. So that was also awful. Like you're sleep deprived, feeling like it, and you're losing an hour of sleep. It just doesn't go hand in hand. So basically, JJ's, I hate having to think about this. It gets me all confused. So he's waking up at 6, which would typically be 5 in the morning. So like that makes it even worse, that if it didn't jump ahead, he'd be waking up at 5. Or do you think he would still wake up at 6? I don't know. Either way, it's still 6 a.m. on my phone, and I don't like it. I don't like waking up and seeing that early of a time, but I guess we can't really control all of these things. Anyway, where I was going with that, today's the 11th. This Saturday is March 16th, and that is JJ's birthday. My son is about to turn 2, which is wild to me. I feel like we just celebrated his first birthday, and I was so excited about his first birthday, and now he's turning 2, and I'm not okay with it. It's crazy. It's a crazy concept. It's a freaking wild ride. But I thought with his birthday being this week, I was actually going to upload this next week as like his birthday just passed type of situation. But I felt like it would be a little better to talk about it like coming up to his birthday, if that makes sense. So I thought I would do a little recap on everything. I know I have a YouTube video about this that was posted like, I feel like months after he was born. I don't even think I actually like fully edited that video. I honestly think I started it and Julian finished it because months had literally gone by, and I know I wanted it done, but I just didn't have like the effort to go and like finish editing it. I do have a birth story up on my main YouTube channel. If you want to go and watch that, it probably is a little bit more in depth. I feel like I'm going to forget some stuff as I'm telling this one, but I thought I would tell it here for you guys. I thought we would start this episode giving a little birth story and how things came about when JJ was born, and then just kind of end the episode kind of going through a little postpartum recap, if that makes sense. Like a little 2 years later, here's what we went through, here's how we've been doing, here's what's changed type of situation. So originally, JJ's due date was supposed to be March 8th. So when I forget what week I was at when I had like a doctor's appointment, like how far along I was. They had said that he was measuring big, I think. Or is it small? I don't know. But they were a week ahead, and they pushed back the due date because of how he was growing, developing. I'm not a doctor. I don't know the terms I should be using right now. But basically, I originally had his due date as March 8th. And then they had pushed it back 8 days, and it was going to be March 16th. So basically, they were saying that it was so weird because I had been told by one doctor that it was going to be March 16th. And then ever since then, every time I talked to someone and they talked about due dates, they kept going back to March 8th. And I was like, oh, wait. No, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. They kept going back to March 8th, March 8th, March 8th. And they kept saying, oh, no, I reversed it. Wait, what? I'm so confused now. Now that I'm actually thinking about it, I'm like, huh? My original due date was... Now I'm confused. My original due date, I think, was March 16th. And they said he was measuring big, so they pushed it up to March 8th. That might have been how it was. I think that's what it was. So they were expecting him on March 8th. That makes more sense. Okay. See, I told you, I have an original story on my YouTube channel. I knew when I was going to sit down and do this, it'd be all crazy because I'm not looking at any notes for this story. I'm just kind of reliving the day in my head. Like I said, it's been a rough week with sleep and everything that listen to this story and then go back and listen to that one. And I guarantee you they'll sound a little different because I feel like I'm going crazy. My original due date was March 16th. Then they said he was measuring big. So they pushed it up a week and he was supposed to be due March 8th. Cause that's how we always think about it. So March 8th was my original due date. My doctor, my OB, was saying that first-time moms typically deliver late. So as March 8th came and went, we were waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And that's why it's making sense in my head now because my original due date was March 16th. Then they changed my due date to March 8th. And like I just had said, this Saturday, March 16th, is his birthday. So we always think he kind of came on his original due date, but because they switched it, he came late. I don't know, it's weird. Anyways, so on the morning of March 15th, March 15th was also the day I was supposed to be induced. They were supposed to induce my labor and kind of make me go into labor because of the fact that was a week after the due date they gave me. So that's how long they kind of said they waited. And if I haven't given birth by then they would induce me. We would kind of move this process along and the baby would come out. He would be born. On the morning of March 15th, I woke up at 4 a.m. With pain. It was 4 a.m. So for me, I wasn't putting it into thought that it was contractions. And then after 1 or 2, I was like, oh my God, I'm having contractions. So it was 4 a.m. I didn't fully wake up or wake Julian up until 7 a.m. So not that they were crazy, but I was having them for 3 hours before I was all right, these kind of hurt. I need to do something, that type of situation. From when they were just starting, obviously they were pretty far apart. So I still was able to sleep and they woke me up. But it's not it was crazy where I was waking up every 5 minutes. I don't think. I know when I woke up at 7, I was like, wow, these are kind of crazy. And I don't know. I don't think I timed them at first. If I did, I don't remember right now. So I finally woke up Julian and was saying that I was having contractions. And I called my doctor who... They weren't open at the time, the doctor's office, but they have a doctor on call that would pick up phone calls if people did call in before their opening hours. And I called my doctor, spoke to whoever was on call, and they said they would relay the message and someone would call me back. I never got a phone call back. I never had anyone call me. No one got in contact with me. And I was like, okay, am I just supposed to sit here and wait for them to call me? So Julian had called his mom, saying what was going on. She was telling me to just go to the hospital. I had called my mom. She said the same thing, just go to the hospital, whatever. So 8 a.m, we're on our way down to the hospital, which from where we lived at the time was like a 35-ish minute drive, which first of all was definitely worth it. Like, the hospital I went to and gave birth at was super nice. Every doctor there was super nice, super cool. I loved them. They were all super helpful, super just like, I don't know, like it was just a good experience for me, which obviously like in that situation is what you need. And we drove down there, and it's one of those things where it's like, contractions are literally no joke. If you haven't had them, like if you're a mom listening to this, like, you know, if you haven't had them, they're worse, I would say, if you're a female, than period cramps. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you having them, like, you can't talk, you can't walk, like, you literally can't do anything in the moment. Like, you're just literally sitting there in pain, waiting for it to go away to like give yourself that moment to like speak and like do anything. So when I had gotten to the hospital, I was telling them about my contractions. They brought me into a room. They were monitoring them. They can see that I was having them, but I wasn't dilated at all. So technically they were like, you're not in labor. So they had me like try to take laps, like go for a walk. But like I just said, like during contractions, like you can't, like when you're having them, like I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. I literally was like leaning against walls, leaning against like whatever like side of the wall I could hold on to while they were happening, and then I would like continue to walk. So it was like, it felt like the longest walk in the world because of the fact that I kept having to like stop and like rest because it hurt so bad. And they were like, okay, well, if you walk, maybe you'll get the baby moving, maybe we'll get the process moving. If you like dilate and you start to like be in labor, we could keep you here. They were like, if not, like you're not in labor, we can't save a bed for you, which I completely understand, because I am not going to sit there and like take over a bed that another mom or like someone could like come in and use type of thing. So I was not like a, oh my God, no, I have to stay, or like put up any type of fight. So they did let me go. They had me go home, and I went home and somehow managed to take a nap. I don't know how long I slept for. I don't remember what time we actually got home compared to what time like I woke up. I know it was like 6 or 7 by the time I woke up. But like I said, I don't know how long I slept for, but I woke up in so much more pain than I was in earlier in the day, which granted, like I said, today or that day would have been the day I was supposed to be induced anyways, which is part of them sending me home. I was really confused because I was like, if I was supposed to be induced today anyways, like why couldn't we just get that going, considering I'm also having contractions? But I don't know. I woke up, had a lot more pain than I did earlier in the day, called my doctor. She was saying to come back down. So we went back down to the hospital. Like I said, this is like a 30-minute drive. So we went down there already, had come home. Now we're going back down there. So I get to the hospital. They wheelchair me in into the room I was basically, I think, in before. And they're looking at me. They can see my contractions. They're like, wow, like they're really strong. They're really big. And I was finally dilated. I think I was only like 3 to 4 centimeters dilated at the time of arriving again. But basically, I was dilated. I was in labor. I was able to stay. So basically, they just had me hang out. We were just kind of watching everything kind of progress, becoming more and more dilated. Contractions still there. Eventually they asked about epidural. I took it. I was in so much pain. I was like, yes, please. So they had me sit up on the side of the bed, hug a pillow, because like, if you don't know, epidural is a needle in your spine. That's how they do it. They couldn't have anyone in the room, so Julian at the time had gone to like pick up food that he I think DoorDash to the hospital. So they were like, okay, well, while you're going to get food, like go sit somewhere for a minute. Like they told him somewhere he could sit and eat because as they do the epidural for some reason, I don't know why exactly, he couldn't be in the room. So they give me the epidural. They get that done. They allow Julian to come back in. I'm just kind of waiting for it to kick in. Once it does, like, it feels really nice because it was like little moments where like I could feel I was having a contraction, but it wasn't hurting as bad, which was like such a relief in that moment. They were saying that it works kind of like gravity, so they kept like flipping me from side to side and putting like one of those big exercise balls like in between my legs to, I don't know what was the point of that, to be honest. I was just kind of a flow in the moment type of situation. I was in so much pain. I just wanted to like have this keep on going. There was one side, I think it was on my right side, that literally just would not go away. It wasn't as bad, but I can still feel it. So the whole time from 4 a.m. till I had him, there was just that one little bit of pain on my right side that for some reason the epidural just wasn't hitting, it wasn't helping, it wasn't doing anything. I don't know what it was. But basically, it is now, I feel like there's like also little bits and pieces during this day that I just don't remember. It all happened so fast at this point that I was, like I said, I was just there. Like I was just a human and they were just doing what they had to do. Like they were in charge. It is now probably like 1 something in the morning, 12:45, between like 12:30 and 1, I would say. And they're still monitoring me, monitoring the baby, whatever. They had said something about the fact that he was moving a certain way they didn't like. And his heart rate had his heart rate, my God, his heart rate had jumped up to 170 beats per minute, which sounds like a lot, but for a baby, like, it's usually between like 140, 150 is what his usually was at, or like 160 maybe. I think he was a pretty steady 150 something, but his heart rate had jumped up to 170 and they were like, yeah, we don't like that. I think at first they had put something in one of my IVs to try to help him and like make it slow down or lower to like I said, the range he was usually at. But it wasn't slowing down. It was doing whatever. He was moving too much and in ways they didn't like, and his heart rate was jumping. They were basically at the point where like, we have to get him out type of situation. I wasn't fully dilated, but they were like, he needs to come out. We don't like the way he's moving. His heart rate's really high, like that type of stuff. So they had arranged, they're waiting for the doctor to come in, but basically I was going in for an emergency C-section. Not planned. I just went in, probably thinking it was just going to be like a natural vaginal birth, but I'm not picky. I obviously wasn't going to fight if he wasn't doing good in there and like everything was kind of not skyrocketing, but like with his heart rate, with being one of the things is what they don't like I'm not going to say anything. If he has to come out like that, like that's how he has to come out type of situation. So basically they were like, we're waiting for the surgeon to come in. It's going to go in for an emergency C-section. And she was like, you'll probably be in there for like about an hour, which sounds like a long time. I definitely was not in there that long. It definitely was not that long of a process. I don't know if it was just me and like just everything that was going on. It felt like really fast, to be honest. I think I was in there, I would say probably for like 30, 35, maybe 40 minutes. It did not feel like that long. I thought I got in there at 140, 145-ish, and he was born a little after 2. Like 220, well, 222 to be exact, but like 145 to like 220. We'll put it like that. So, next thing I know, like, I'm being wheeled into the room they do the C-section in pretty much, and the way it goes is like you're laying in a bed and they put up a little tarp so you can't see like what they're doing, basically like at your waist. Like I don't want to say below the waist in a weird way, but they cut you open a little above, I don't know, like I'm not trying to be like too TMI, but they cut a slit in you almost to like open you up a little above your vagina. So they put like a tarp, I would say like mid stomach. So the only thing I see is just the blue thing. And I have my arms. So I'm laying kind of like you're laying on on a cross. Like I had my arms out on both sides. They were hooking up IVs to me. They hooked up the little thing that like goes in your nose. They're doing all this stuff. I randomly just started getting cold. I know I like felt like I was shaking. I don't know if it was everything going into me from IVs because it made me numb from the waist down. And I felt like I was shaking. I felt like I was freezing. I started to feel really tired. And that part kind of like freaked me out because I was like, is this supposed to happen? Like, am I supposed to be shaking? Am I supposed to be tired? Like, is this wrong or is this okay? Type of thing. Like, so many things were going through my mind. And then at the same time, they had said that Julian was allowed in the room, even though they were doing a C-section. But at this point, I feel like they were moving really fast and a lot was going on and Julian wasn't there. So I had said something and I was like, I'm starting to get really tired. Like, is that okay? Or is this... She was like, no, like, it's okay that you're tired. Like, if you want to fall asleep, you can. But part of me was like, I'm not going to fall asleep, like, while you're taking my child literally out of my stomach. Like, no, I want to see my baby. So I was really tired. I was, like, I felt my eyes, like, just getting heavy and, like, you know when you're, like, about to fall asleep and they kind of, like, flutter a little bit before you actually just close them? That's how I felt. Like I said, I had arms out on both sides. I had the thing in my nose. I had a tarp in front of me. From the tarp up, I was by myself. Like, I think there was one doctor to my right that was sitting there. I don't know if he was just monitoring the everything they were putting in my veins, the IVs and everything, or like what he was there for. But, they kept saying something and I was like, I can still feel my feet. So I was nervous that I was going to feel like what they were going to do. Julian finally came in. He had to be put in like scrubs, like a thing on his head, scrubs, some things over his shoes. Like he was fully like equipped pretty much. And I was like, I still feel my feet. Like if I move them, I can still feel them. And she was like, she said something and she was like, okay, well, do you feel this? And I was like, no, I don't feel anything. And she was like, okay, good. Because like I already cut you open. And I was like, whoa. So it like was a weird situation where it all just happened so fast. So she was doing whatever she had to do down there. And the next thing you know, like we hear him cry and they came. It's weird because like the only thing I really remember in that room because of the fact that I was so tired was I know they brought him over after they took him out to show us. And the only thing I really said was that he had Julian's nose. Like I told Julian he had his nose. That's really all I remember in that room. I know they were like, okay, we have to wash him. We'll put him in a blanket. Like all this stuff, like what they normally do. They swaddle him, wrap him up. They take his measurements of like his head, like height, weight. They're writing down the time, like all that stuff. I got it on like a little card. And then, so basically he was 7 pounds, 6 ounces, 20 and a half, I think, inches long or 21 inches long, born at 2:22 a.m. on March 16th. Granted, like I said, I started getting contractions at 4 a.m. on the 15th. Technically, they said it wasn't in labor till like I think like 7 or 8 when I got back down to the hospital. So basically from 6 p.m. on the 15th till 2 a.m. on the 16th, I guess was a full labor, but contractions started way earlier than that. So after that, they get him situated. I ended up getting staples in my stomach to like close up the wound and everything. I ended up having to wear like, I don't even know what it was. It was something across my stomach that like Velcroed together that covered it. I literally wore it. So from when I went home till I got the staples out was a whole week. So I wore that, I swear, the whole week because I was scared to like hit a staple, knock one out. Like that just freaked me out knowing I had staples on my stomach. So when they brought me back into the room I was in before going in for the C-section. They handed me him. I just kept looking at him. We were like, I was texting everyone I needed to text, my parents, my brothers. I texted some coworkers, like all this stuff, saying that he was here, my grandparents, like all that stuff, saying that he was finally here. He was born. He had made it into this world. I know when he was in the little, I don't know what you call it, like what they put him in, that like they literally could wheel it around. I don't know what it's called. I don't like know terms, but I know Julian had taken a couple pictures of him in there that I was like, oh my God, send me. I posted it on Instagram and Facebook and everything the day after to show everyone through social media and all this stuff. But it was definitely an experience, definitely a wild ride. I can't believe that day, like thinking about it is so weird because I still remember a lot of that day, not necessarily everything because it's just a crazy day. I just don't freaking remember like every single minor detail, but like to think that day was 2 years ago is wild to me. The hospital was pretty cool. My dad had told me that it was going to happen, but they have like a little dinner for you in your hospital room for like the parents after you give birth. So we placed our order. We had a nice little dinner. That was like one of the only times I got out of the hospital bed I was in to go sit at the table with Julian and have a dinner. Besides that, we just ordered like throughout the day, like a breakfast. They gave you lunch. They gave you dinner. You just kind of had to call down and like tell them what you wanted type of thing. I know there were some things in there that were so freaking good. Like to this day, I wish I could still get because for hospital food, it was pretty fire. It was so good. I can't think of what they were. I know there was a brownie, and if like, you know me, I'm not a big brownie chocolate person, but they had a brownie that I got one time that was so freaking good. I was so surprised. I think I got it another time and like it was still good, but wasn't as good as the first time I had it. But like I was like, oh my God, like this brownie is fantastic. I don't remember like foods I had in the hospital, but I'm telling you, some of the days I was like, wow. And I was really excited to have it the next day. But yeah, so just a crazy time, man. I keep thinking now that was 2 years ago this week, and it's freaking wild. I now have a toddler. We're in our terrible 2 stage, which we've been in, I swear, since 18 months. But now that he's about to be 2, we're actually in like a terrible 2 stage. Yeah, crazy. So, well, I bullet pointed some things I wanted to talk about postpartum. Well, some of these things are before. So I had a bullet point of nervous about giving birth. Obviously, this is, well, not obviously, if you didn't know, this is my firstborn. So I've never gone through childbirth before. I was super nervous. The thought of it, even before I knew I was pregnant, just the thought of giving birth scared me. Like, just the thought of this whole process is kind of nerve-wracking if you think about it. Like, not everyone goes through childbirth the same. So the fact that you could think of like really good stories and you can think of like horrible stories, like, I don't know, just putting it all together kind of scares me, kind of freaks me out. And I was so scared for it to happen. The process of, like I said, having contractions, you get to the point where like you can't walk, you can't speak. But at the same time, it was like, it was happening for so long throughout that day that you just get to the point where like you're just really excited for the baby to come out. Obviously safe, healthy, however they have to. Like I said, C-section wasn't planned, but if that's how we had to get him out and into this world, it was like a so be it. He came out happy, he came out healthy, he came out perfectly fine. So like that's all I could really like ask for in that time, in that moment. So yeah, contractions are definitely a wild ride to begin with. Obviously I was nervous to be a first time parent. You like just go through those things where you're like, oh my God, am I doing this right? Like, what should I do? Who do I call? Like those type of mini situations. You're just trying to make sure that like you're doing the best for him and being the best for him, which at first is really like a nerve-wracking thing, because you're like, I don't know if it was just me, you're like in that situation where you're like, nothing I do is going to be good enough for him. Like, he needs so much more, when really, like, you are enough for him. Like, you're doing everything you can, and it's enough for your child. So now it's like a whole, you're trying to balance life while having a newborn, and you keep thinking that like a newborn they need a lot. They eat every couple of hours. I tried breastfeeding, which was a lot of work, like between trying to breastfeed and pump, and by the time you're done, they're eating again. Like, that is just a whole situation I'm going to talk about in a minute too. And then you're trying to just figure out, like I said, everything along the way of what to feed him as he grows up. And then when, like, you're like, when he's a newborn, you kind of have it down to like, he eats at this time, and then this time, and then this time, and then this time type of situation, because he eats so often. But when he grows up, like now, I'm like, are you hungry? Like, should I feed you? You haven't eaten in a while, but like, you're not asking for food. Like, it's a weird thing. They definitely will tell you when they're hungry, because I know for my son, he gets cranky, but he starts to say like little words when he wants food. Like, he'll say apple when he wants like applesauce. Like, we give him those like little pouches. He loves those. So he'll go apple. He'll say like, he says little, it's so cute, and you have to kind of like decipher like what he's saying. Like, he'll be like ogre when he wants yogurt. He doesn't necessarily say the first letter of words sometimes. So like when he says pizza, he wants itza. Like, he doesn't say the P, except for apple. That's the only thing he says like fully. When he says juice, he goes a juice. Like, he says in the beginning for some reason. Water is awa. If he says awa, he wants water. Because I say water, I go wawa. Like, I tried to say wawa as water, and he says awa instead of saying the first W with it. So awa is water. And toast is French toast. Like, it's so funny to hear him try to like say these words, but then again, like, at that point, like, I know what he wants, and I want to feed him what he wants, because I know he'll eat it type of situation. There's definitely been foods he loves. He loves pizza. He loves applesauce. He loves yogurt. Has been on such a French toast kick lately. If I make quesadillas, he loves quesadillas. He loves French fries. He loves mac and cheese. Like, little things. He loved chicken nuggets, but I feel like we overfed him chicken nuggets, because now he's not too keen on them. He'll eat them, but not as much as he did. The next thing I have was C-section recovery. That was definitely a process. Like I said, it was unplanned. I had the staples in my stomach for a week that I went to go get removed, which was really nice, because when I went there to get them removed, she was like, oh, like, you're such a fast healer. Like, it's healing really well. Like, you're doing really great, which is definitely something really like nice to hear, like to hear that you're recovering good and whatever you're doing is working type of situation. When I tell you I was so scared to shower for the first time after giving birth, I think I still had staples on me when I first showered, but it was the fact of the only shower we had was upstairs, and right after giving birth, I wasn't allowed to use stairs. Obviously, like, I had to go upstairs to get into the house, but I stayed on the couch for a while afterwards. And then, like I said, the only shower we had was upstairs, so I had to go up at least 12 to 14 stairs to reach the bathroom. So I had to take it like one step at a time. And you don't realize, like, I feel like how much you use your stomach muscles to do anything. Like, lifting myself up off the couch to either get the baby or just get up to go to the bathroom or anything, like, it hurts. And like, again, not to be like too TMI, but even in the hospital, when I had to get up off the bed to go to the bathroom, like, even just sitting down to use the bathroom hurt so bad. Like, releasing all of that hurt so bad. Like, it's just one of those things they don't talk about and you don't hear about until it actually happens. And it's just the weirdest thing to actually like think about, like, just to go to the bathroom. Like, you you just do it every day like it's nothing. Like you have to pee, you go to pee. Like you have to poop, you go to poop. Like you don't think about it. You're just like, oh, I have to do this. It's everyday thing. Let me just sit on the toilet and go. No, like I not dreaded, but like having to walk to the bathroom hurt because you were using like muscles to get up out of the hospital bed and all this stuff, and then you're using muscles to like lower yourself onto the toilet and then to get back up. And like I said, even while you were like going to the bathroom, like it felt so weird. It was the weirdest thing to go through. And that's basically all I had. Not being able to walk much, being able to get up off the couch without feeling the pain in my stomach. That was the weirdest thing. Going to the bathroom, I couldn't walk alone in the hospital, and I'm glad I like wrote notes for myself. I had to bring the machine I was hooked up to with me in the bathroom because I was like still hooked up to IVs and everything. The first couple days I was in the hospital so I think if you have like a natural like vaginal delivery, you're in the hospital for 2 days after giving birth. I was in there for 3 because they add on an extra day if you have a C-section. So I think like at least the first day I was still hooked up to the machine. They had unhooked me from the machine either the next day or like the day before I left. I know I definitely was not hooked up to any machine, but they still had the IVs in my hand. I don't know if that was just like a precaution thing. If I ended up needing to be hooked up, they were still there. They didn't have to go through the whole putting a needle in, like finding a vein type of situation. But I had to bring the machine I was hooked up to with me in the bathroom, and then I had to wear a diaper pretty much the first few days postpartum. Like you're still, I don't know if I should put out a warning. I'm gonna be talking about blood. You're still bleeding a little bit after giving birth. So I basically like just wasn't wearing underwear. I was wearing a huge diaper that had a pad on the inside, and I don't know, like it was just, it's a crazy time right after. And it's like some of the things you don't think about until, like I said, you actually go through it. Like when you experience it for the first time, if you haven't already, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. And like you could be experiencing something totally different. You could be experiencing more, you could be experiencing less. Not everyone goes through, like I said, the same childbirth experience, but you definitely, I would say, will go through at least a couple things that no one talks about when talking about like postpartum or childbirth or anything. So it's kind of crazy. Postpartum body image. So I do have a scar from the C-section, obviously, but it doesn't really bother me. It's definitely not something you see. Like it's always going to be covered no matter if I'm wearing like obviously pants, if I'm wearing a bathing suit. Actually, I haven't put on a bathing suit since I gave birth, to be honest. So it's been almost 2 years since I've been in a bathing suit, which sounds crazy, which clearly I haven't done anything in the summer. Usually because my last job, like I worked all summer, so like I never really did anything. Hopefully this summer will be a little different. I am, not gonna lie, scared to see what I look like in a bathing suit postpartum, but that's just something small and whatever that I'll get over. But I think depending on the cut of the bottoms that I wear, it will still cover the scar. I'm more of like a high-waisted person anyways, so I think I do have high-waisted bikini bottoms. So I think they'll cover, those will definitely cover, but if I wore like regular ones, I pretty sure it'll cover. Like I said, I haven't been in one, so I don't actually know. But I do have a scar from where my baby was delivered safely and how we had to come out. One of the things was, it's not like I did a lot, so to speak. I wasn't like a gym person. I have to go and lose this. I have to go and get rid of this. I just kind of let my body heal however it was healing. And like the journey we've gone through has just been like what we do, like referring to me and my body, was losing baby weight. I know when I went in, I don't know if it was the first month. So like gave birth a week later, went to go get my staples removed, and then like 4 weeks after that was like a 1 month postpartum type of situation. They had said that I had already lost a lot of weight. And I'll be open, I'll be honest about all this. I gained, so we'll be very, I don't want to say vulnerable. We'll be really open right now. So I don't want to say like I was pretty small to begin with. Before giving birth, I was probably at like 135, 140 regular weight. When I was pregnant, I maxed out before giving birth at 170. So I did gain like 30 pounds during pregnancy. I want to say the first time I think I went back and they were doing like weights and like all this stuff they do literally before every, what's it called? Appointment, is the first thing I do is, weight and like, what's it called? Blood pressure. So when I first went, they were like, wow, like you're doing really good. You already lost weight. You're down to 150. So at that point, I had already lost 20 out of the 30 pounds that I gained. When I tell you the last 10 were a freaking like a whole year later, I think another year postpartum or like a year plus, I had finally got down to pre-birth weight, like I don't know what it's called. So I will say like today I'm at my pre-pregnancy weight. I haven't weighed myself in a while, but last I knew I was at like 135 again. So I definitely got down to where I was before giving birth, which is kind of like a really good feeling for yourself. I wouldn't say I necessarily cared. Not that I wanted to like gain weight. I definitely wanted to like lose weight. And I definitely like, do I like the way my stomach looks postpartum? No, but like for me it's kind of like it is what it is. Like I wear a lot of clothes that kind of hide it to begin with, but do I want to like continue to lose the weight and try to make it look better? Yes, but that's just me thinking of like my body image. Thinking like I don't look the same and like will never get to where I was or what I looked like before started to pop into my head. But like at the same time, like I just said, it kind of like it is what it is. Like you literally held a human being in your body for 9 months. Like if that's not the craziest thing you've ever heard, I don't know what is. Because to me, the fact that my body isn't going to look the way it did before, that's where I'm like, I don't really care, because I literally held my son in my body for 9 months. Like I was his home for 9 months. Like obviously going through something like that, as crazy as childbirth, you're not always going to look the same afterwards. So that's where I'm like, this is how I look. Like this is how I look. Like thinking of why and how I got to how I look now is such a crazy thing to think about for me. I don't know. Like that's just something I obviously have thought about, and I'm like, dang, like that's a lot. Like female human bodies are crazy. Like human bodies to begin with are crazy, but like a female holds an actual child in them for 9 months. That's wild. I'm sorry, but that is crazy to think about. The next thing I have is postpartum depression. It is completely undiagnosed for me. I don't want to say it as like a self-diagnosis, but like self-diagnosis. Postpartum depression is very common. I don't think I realized at first that was necessarily what I had started to go through and go into, I guess. I don't really know how to word it. I don't know if I thought it was like not something I would go through, not something I would put my mind through. It was one of those things I didn't think or know to ask for help, because like I said, I didn't know that's what I was, like I said, undiagnosed going through. I haven't seen a doctor. I haven't talked to anyone even to this day. I will say I've been through some really dark, crazy paths postpartum that luckily I feel like I've kind of bursted through. I would say 2 years later to this day, I feel a lot better than the times I was at last year, if not like a couple months ago. I will tell you, it's a crazy ride. It's kind of scary. I definitely got to some scary moments, but like I said, I never really talked to anyone through it or about it or anything. That's just kind of something I went through. Obviously, Julian knows some little moments, some little thoughts here and there. Nothing like crazy and nothing in relation to JJ. Like, when they talk about, if you hear it like postpartums and they're like, oh, like you have thoughts of like hurting yourself or the baby type of situation. It wasn't like that. It was just it's dark thoughts and like areas, and I don't know how to explain it. It's just kind of a crazy ride. I did see something on Instagram the other day that I wanted to share. It was a reel, but it said, quote, "It takes a woman 2 whole years after birth to get back to feeling like themselves. 2 whole years for their hormones to return to normal. 2 whole years for their brain chemistry to balance." End quote. And I thought that was crazy because of the fact that I am at a 2-year mark. So the fact that that popped up on my feed was kind of very interesting, and like the timing was kind of there. Of course, everyone is different with how they come back from things, whether it's childbirth or not. But this is clearly talking about childbirth. I feel like, but especially with childbirth, how things are going to play out. Wait, what? I said if this is how things are going to play out and is a legit statistic, I'm at my turnaround moment. I literally like wrote little notes that I'm like trying to read that I like clearly can't read at the moment. But if this is like a real thing and it says it takes 2 years for brain chemistry to balance and hormones to return to normal and feeling like themselves, like I am at my turnaround moment. This Saturday will be 2 years. That is apparently, if this statistic is real, when everything is going to do all that. Not saying I'm going on my life based on this, but I thought that was very interesting. 2 years is basically here, and I can't wait to have this play out so perfectly. If this is a legit statistic, I can't wait to see how everything goes from here on out and how I feel and how I react to things and everything kind of balancing. I've been feeling really good lately. But from how I was and things I've been through, I'm glad there's one of those moments where it seems like there's a light at the end of the tunnel situation, because I don't know, like I said, going through that thing, like I said, completely undiagnosed, haven't talked to anyone, haven't been diagnosed with anything, but I would say if I had to put something on it of everything I went through, I would say it'd probably be borderline depression. So the fact that it's now there's a light at the end of the tunnel, we're almost through that tunnel. It's one of those things where, like, I don't want to say it's like that phrase you hear where it's like the only way to, what is it? It's like the only way out of something is through, like the only way out is through or something like that. Obviously not what I want to be putting on depression, but that's kind of like my thought process for myself in this, because yes, I went through it because I went through something as crazy as childbirth, that I feel like I'm working my way through everything I had been through within the past 2 years. I feel like that's going to sound really selfish, and I'm not putting that label on anyone going through anything in their lives. I'm saying this personally for myself. I definitely want to put that out there. Don't come for me for what I just said. That is just personal experience and what I'm talking about. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel for everyone. I will put that out there. But for me, like, I'm at the point where I feel like I went through very hard times and I'm like kind of pulling myself out. It's definitely one of the craziest things to pull yourself out of a really dark place. But just everything throughout I would say even the past year, if not at least within the last 6 months, I feel like it's just been kind of getting slowly better and better. And it's one of those things that you look at and you're just like, wow, like this is what I went through. This is where I'm at. Like, this is insane. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, to see it all and reflect on it all is so crazy. So the last thing is how things have been going mentally. A lot better than where I was at, a lot better than where I was. Trying to still balance things as a parent and a mom, a job, YouTube, podcast, everything right now. Definitely been a challenge, but we're going through it. It's one of those things. I love watching him. He's been making facial expressions that you just look at lately and you're like, what is that face? Like, what are you doing? It's so funny. And like I said, seeing the little things he tries to say and you have to kind of figure it out. He's been liking car rides lately, but he says, all right. And I don't know what he's trying to say at first. And then I'm like, oh, like car ride. And he gets really excited. This morning was really cute. He, like I said, woke up but went back to sleep. When I went in there to get him ready for daycare, he was still kind of sleeping. But when I tell you, he woke up so fast, looked at me, instantly wanted me to pick him up. He like looks at you with like such a smile on his face. It's so cute. And I was holding him, and like typically when I first get him up, like the first thing I want to do is change him out of the diaper. He's been in all night. I don't always know how much he's peed through the night, so I like to just get him out and get him into a fresh diaper and like feeling good when he like sits or plays or eats or whatever. So he just points to the door to like go out. And this morning he kept pointing and just saying, Dada, Dada. And Julian was actually up this morning. Sometimes when I get him ready and everything, Julian's not awake yet. So I don't obviously go in to bother him because he's usually with JJ at night. So like he sleeps during the morning when I get up with him. So normally I'd be like, oh, Daddy's sleeping. Like, we'll see him later. But he was awake. So I was like, do you want to go say hi to Dada? And he's, yeah. So we go in and he's all, hi, Dada. Like, he's talking to him, whatever. When we were going to leave, he was standing in the kitchen. He hadn't necessarily gone to Julian, but he was just like, bye, Dada. Bye. So I was like, oh, like, go say bye to Daddy. So he runs in and he's, bye, Dada, bye, Dada. And as he walks out, he goes, see you later. And it's so funny that he like knows these sentences. He'll like, if you say, like, tell him, be like, have a good day. He'll be like, have a good day. Like, it's so cute. He gets really excited over doggies. So every time he sees doggies, he's, doggy. But yeah, so he was leaving and he was like, see you later. And I was like, say love you. And he goes, love you. So, he had to run back in to like actually say it to Julian. He was like, love you. So then he's walking out and Julian's like, love you too. So he like kind of repeats what you say sometimes. So he's like, love you too. And I was like, good job, buddy. And he goes, good job. It's so funny to see like their little personalities start to like come out within them when they get older, but it's so funny. Going to daycare, he's like playing with new friends. He's really nice with other people. Like he gets shy at first, but like once he's either there for a long time or starts to like open up, like he just becomes friends with anybody. He's at this stage where you could be walking around a grocery store. He's done this to both Julian and I separately. If he's walking around either on the sidewalk in a grocery store, people walk by and he's like, hi. Like he just waves to everyone. It's so cute. But like through the daycare app, they'll post pictures of him like playing during the day by himself or like with friends or with one person or with a group during the day. And it's just so cute to see him like interact with little people like his age. That sounded weird, but like with everyone his age, and it's so cute. Sleep schedule though has definitely been a crazy ride. He normally goes to sleep at 8:00 at night. We definitely have experimented with 7, 8, and even as late as 9 just to try to get him to sleep through the night, but also at the same time getting enough sleep. I typically have my alarm set Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Today I had it set for 7:30, but like I said, I didn't actually get up till 8:30. I don't know why I set alarms anymore because I really don't need them, because he basically wakes me up 9 times out of 10 before my alarm even goes off. Like I said, he's been a 6 a.m. waker lately, if not like 6:30, if not even sooner. I think the earliest he's woken up was 4:50. So a little before 5. And he wakes up full of energy. Like, he wakes up and he's ready to play. He likes to look outside. Obviously, 5 a.m., not much is happening outside. It's not even sunny yet. But he's ready to go. He's ready to do it. I don't know. But, so that's definitely been an experience. He's definitely really good with sleeping through the night. 8 o'clock, like I said, he's usually trying to wake up at 6:30. Today, like I said, he fell back asleep. I woke him up at 8:30. So even if he did stay up for a little bit, he still is almost at like the, I would say, 10, 11 hour mark sleep wise. And then he wakes up. He wants food. He wants to play. Like, he wants to get it going. Nap time at home is typically around 11 a.m. He starts to get cranky at like 10:30. So that's when I'm like, all right, you're laying down. I don't know. I'm going to try to go into the app really quick as I'm talking. But I know at daycare, he typically sleeps for around like 2 to 2.5 hours, which is what he does at home too. For example, yesterday, his report for daycare, he went to sleep a nap at 12:16, woke up at 2:31, 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's typically like his normal time. So I guess at daycare he does go to sleep a little later than he does at home, but I don't know if that's just their system of nap time compared to like when he actually gets tired. But at home he normally will sleep from 11, if not 11 to 1, 11 to 2. So he could hit as much as like 3 hours in a nap time home, but he gets pretty cranky to the point where I'm like, all right, you're going to sleep. I need a break from you like screaming and tantrums for a minute or two. But with that being said, that is all I have for this episode. I can't believe he's about to be 2 this week. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll definitely see posts, stories, everything. We are having a little party for him on Saturday, so that'll be super fun. Potentially look out for some videos on my main channel. I don't know if I'm vlogging it or not, but with that being said, that's all I have. Thank you guys so much for listening. This was a crazy episode. I feel like, I don't know if it's going to be super long. I feel like I've been recording for so long, but I love you guys so much. Whether you listened, watched, anything, just had it on the background. And I'll see you next week back with a brand new episode. Bye.